Hi all, I'm Dr. Trisha Peach, host of the Kidmin.Ninja, and if you read my blog post, you already know what I'm going to announce, but I do have a secret that I have been keeping. This is something that has been a long time in the works. 10 years ago, roughly 10 years ago, a lot of you were there when I brought my first ever book to publishing. I had been a children's pastor at that point on staff for 17 years. I had traveled a lot and I'd always dreamed of writing a kids ministry book. So I was kind of like, okay, Lord, here's my little loaves and fishes. You know, I'd always wanted to write a book, but a lot of people say, yeah, I want to write a book, but they never get around to it. Well, I worked on it, and I wrote the book. And I remember my guru, my mentor, Dr. Dan Rector, who was the chair of the Department of Children's Ministries way back then, he said, Trish, listen to me, when the 10-year mark hits, you need to revisit your book because it's going to become obsolete. You are going to need to rewrite certain chapters. You're going to need to add chapters. There's just a lot of reworking that has to be done at the 10-year mark if you want to stay relevant. And I thought, yeah, that's way in the future. That's so far in the future. Well, here we are. It was about a year ago. I thought, he said that. I remember he said that. I need to revisit it. I thought it was going to be a tweak here, a tweak there, and I'll just update this. No, not at all. Pride goeth before the fall. It was a lot. I spent the last whole year reworking Your Children's Ministry from scratch, my first book. I ended up adding a couple chapters. I ended up adding pictures or graphic art. I ended up taking some parts out that are now obsolete. For example, I had said in the budgeting chapter, hey, you gotta add a line in for worship CDs, and yeah, we don't really get them on CD anymore, do we? I guess sometimes, occasionally. But I had to update a lot of that, talk about quality family services, how to do an intergenerational service. I talked about the dangers of too much church babysitting, how that can be a problem, the do's and don'ts of recruiting. So I changed it to the point that it now had to become a second edition. So Your Children's Ministry from Scratch, second edition. It has gone to the layout artist. I love her work. That's something that I really appreciate that I didn't realize when I wrote my first book, is the need for a layout artist. I knew I needed an editor. English has always been one of my best subjects. I thought, I can do this. But then once I hired an editor, you miss a lot of your own mistakes because you are focusing on what you're trying to say, the story that you're trying to tell. So that editor was absolutely crucial. And my editor for my first and second books was the late Tina Hauser, and she did a phenomenal job, and I'm very grateful to her, and I miss her, and I wish I'd had her editing prowess on the update. I definitely give her so much credit for how things went with the first book. My second book, she edited and she found a layout artist for it. And so the second book, I love how it looks. It just looks so sharp, amazing, fun. I thought it's a kids ministry book. It shouldn't be boring. It needs to be fun. But my first book was still looking very academic. And so now the first book is getting a total revamp to be fun and look like book number 2. So this one is called Your Children's Ministry from Scratch, Volume 2. I almost had 3 out there, 2. And what I'm going to end up doing is the original Your Children's Ministry from Scratch will no longer be available. And when this goes live, I'll make sure to let you know. Your Children's Ministry from Scratch, Volume 2 has all new artwork on the front as well. I really had to think it through. I'm excited because Your Children's Ministry from Scratch, Volume 1, I never ever expected the reaction. We launched it over a Kickstarter, as some of you remember, and we hit our goal way early, which was exciting, so that I could hire that editor. I was brand new to all of this. And then the book came out. We sold thousands and thousands of copies very quickly. And then I kept hearing, oh, your book is in England. It's in England now. Oh, it's in Portugal. Oh, your book is in India. That was exciting. One country, they had translated it into Urdu. My book was in Poland. They were translating into Polish. All these things that were happening. From what I understand, it's in 17 countries and 7 languages. So that's the first book. And it has, I hope, done a lot of good. It also became a required textbook at several Bible colleges, including my alma mater, North Central, Valley Forge. So I am hopeful that a more modern rendition of Your Children's Ministry from Scratch will be helpful. Why do I think we need this right now? My mentor could never have imagined the chaos that came about because of COVID-19 and the lockdowns. I'm already, after my blog post, I'm getting messages from people saying, I'm having to relaunch this kids ministry. We lost so many people in the COVID lockdowns, or I'm new to kids ministry. I'm at this church. We have no kids. What do we do? And the whole reason I wrote the book, the whole reason was to help people launch a successful growing kids ministry from the ground up. I have worked on staff in very large churches. I have worked on staff in medium-sized churches, and I grew up in a very small church. I was doing kids ministry in a church of less than 100. And I found that the same principles of kids ministry apply. Even I did mission trip in Africa, same principles of kids ministry apply. There are certain things that changed as far as technology, but the main principles of kids ministry work across cultures and regardless of the size of the church. And I thought, I need to lay this out so that others can just pick up this one book and go. So it starts you literally from the very beginning, laying out a vision for that kids ministry, budgets, picking a curriculum, recruiting. What do you do to recruit? What do you not do when you're recruiting? It has how do you communicate better with parents and volunteers, and I give practical tips of how to do that. What illustrative methods do you need to work on that'll really kick that service into high gear? Guaranteed ways to grow your kids ministry that have worked everywhere I've been, everywhere. Communication tactics. I talk about how to do a wonderful family intergenerational service and just make it a wow. I talk about the legalities, safety and security, because that's kind of my wheelhouse. I used to work security way back in the day, and that's heavy on my heart. So I want someone who maybe has a background in working at a daycare or working at Walmart, or a stay-at-home mom, or a man with a background in banking, or somebody in another country, a missionary, that they can pick up this book and it will give them a step-by-step guide to launch that kids and family ministry that will be effective and grow and last. And right now, a lot of churches are hurting, and many churches need that. What they need is a total reset. They need a relaunch. And instead of, I love reading kids ministry books, but if you're saying, where do I start for a total rebrand? Where do I start to go from the ground up? Maybe you're sitting there saying, I don't know how to do a kids ministry budget. I don't have any volunteers. How do I get volunteers? I don't know what curriculum to pick. I don't know what our mission statement is, and why am I in this position? Lord, did you pick the right person? I'm hoping this book will encourage you, excite you, give you new vision and passion for what you do. And I just want to say thank you for all you do for Jesus and his kids. Just know I see you. You're amazing. God sees you. And I hope that you'll take a look at my book when it comes out here. It's not available yet because we've got one more graphic image that's getting put in there. And I'm really excited. It will be soon. It will be within the next couple weeks. And when it does, I promise I will be excited. I will be singing from the rooftops. All right. I got to head out for VBS at our church tonight, but thank you all that stuck with me 10 years ago when, I had no idea what I was doing with the book, right? That was the other thing. Not only has the book had to change, I've changed. 10 years have gone by. I went back and completed my master's. Then I went back again, completed my doctorate. I've written 6 more books now. I've traveled so much more and spoken at so many conferences. So I changed. The way that I view a lot of kids ministries changed. So parts of the book needed to change. Not those principles of kids ministry. They still apply. All right. So I love you guys. I will see you next week on the Kidmin.Ninja. Love you guys.